The story begins with a robbery of hot goods with the desire to solve the economic difficulties of the family of police officer Walker, along with 4 other colleagues, made a raid on a hot goods den that they had been following for a long time. However, just as they were about to leave, a member of the hot goods gang, who was on guard duty, heard the noise and entered with a flashlight to check the situation. Walker quickly took down the subject when he was not on guard, but when they saw clearly the face of this person, everyone was shocked because it was a police officer who was planted into the criminal organization. This person even carried a wiretapping device. Walker thought that it was necessary to take the person to the hospital immediately, but Vince said that this action had a great risk if the person survived. Many things would be revealed. A gunshot ended the certainty of Walker also pushed him into a deep state of self-reproach. After that time, Walker returned to his father's old house with the intention of letting time calm the painful memories. But his 4 remaining colleagues got into trouble during this time. They were assigned to stop a truck carrying hot goods. But the robbers this time seemed to have mastered the police's operating methods. Faced with the intense pursuit of the robbers, only tried to step on the powerful engine to help their car move on the road easily. The lack of cooperation of the other side had made these policemen think of using force. Realizing the unfavorable situation, the robbers decisively crashed through the barrier and rushed onto the highway. But the police car behind still followed closely. To lose the robbers in the car saw the washing machine next to it and came up with an idea. Both together threw the washing machine toward the police car. This action, although it stopped the police car, but also caused more trouble for them when the others caught up with CCT was seriously injured, and his colleague immediately returned to the car to call for help, while the robbers escaped with his girlfriend Mia had found the territory of the Chinese Triad gang. They carried 2 black bags under the guidance of a member entered an underground bath. A young man with a careless appearance in front of him named Tu Fuang, the current leader of the Triads, opened the bag. Sand inside were full of hot powder. At the same time, his accomplices standing outside the door noticed a suspicious car from the alley driving out. The people in the car were all wearing masks, clearly people with bad intentions, so he immediately called Mia to leave immediately and change the scene. Walker and his partner had just finished the patrol and was about to return when he heard the case announcement on the walkie-talkie. Walker decisively turned the car around and turned on the emergency lights. Both of them quickly headed to the crime scene when they arrived. The scene was completely surrounded, and inside the bar, the scene was extremely bloody. Everyone present haddied, including the leader of the 3 Kings, Tu Huang. Based on his many years of experience as a police officer, Walker could easily imagine what had happened when the attackers appeared. The members of the 3 Kings were completely unprepared. The enemy's weapons were very modern and powerful, completely not giving them a chance to fight back. All weapons were shot and fell to the ground. The scene immediately turned into a hell on earth. Walker was about to review the people he had come into contact with who could be the perpetrator when he was interrupted by a colleague next to him. Walker learned that CT was injured in the team. Both have a very good relationship. CT's injury made Walker extremely surprised. At this time, Eli took the phone and went to them. They had recorded the image of the suspect through the surveillance camera when clearly seeing the person's face. Walker's expression had changed, but in order not to attract the attention of his partner, Walker turned to look at the weapon that the young man was holding. He affirmed that the young man was not the culprit because there was no pistol shell at the scene, and the pistol could not have caused such large wounds in a short period of time. These words were successful to distract Eli. So while she was confused, Walker quietly left to see a trail of blood stretching from the door to the street. Walker guessed that someone had escaped, but he did not say it, but quickly left the scene, then went to the mayoral candidate. Billman, exactly the young man, colored in the surveillance footage, is Charlie Billman's son. However, for his son to kill someone, Billman said it was impossible, but Ware knew that this did not need to be proven at this time. Charlie was involved in the incident. If this was publicly known, his mayoral candidacy would certainly be cancelled. No one would believe that a father had a child. And Guy is a hot goods dealer and can manage the city well. After hearing these words, Billman was extremely angry. He asked Walker to find Chuck Lai by all means, and even threatened Walker. Just one phone call from me and you and your friends will be unlucky for the rest of your life. Walker has a weak point in Billman's hands, can only give in and agree, but on the condition that after this, there will be no more contact between them. Bill has agreed. The murder of his only son has made Clarice, who is in Hong Kong, extremely angry. She immediately appeared in New York, looking at the cold body of her son. Clary temporarily cannot accept the seeds of hatred have completely arisen in this moment. She slowly walked in front of the Urgeyu are responsible for the security of your son Ray's. His hand to pull out the gun on his waist and kill the 3 underlings standing next. To this is a deterrent, and also an act kill 1, to warn 100 people who killed my son. His father has great power. It may not be easy to find if you do not capture the person who killed my son and bring him here. I will bury you with him based on the clues obtained. Walker has come to the area Chinatown at this time. Xifeng's underling had escaped and was here to treat his wounds. Often Walker easily defeated the henchman outside and rushed inside to see Walker came with an unfriendly look. The underling had smashed the window glass and was about to escape, but Walker was faster and directly pulled him back from the window. This person was the key to finding Charlie temporarily, could not let him die. Walker took out the photo and asked him if he had seen this person, but the underling was stubborn and refused to say anything. Helpless, Walker was forced to use stronger measures under both psychological and mental torment. This person finally confessed the truth that he had actually seen Charlie and Tui Thuk together, but when Ware asked if Charlie was the one who shot and killed Tu Fuongor, not this person said that it was not. The one who killed Tu Fuong were 3 men in black wearing hockey masks. This seemed to be a clue, like, think about it. It seems useless because no one knows what those 3 people look like. Walker knows that continuing to greet is useless. So after warning the other doctor, he gets up and leaves. But as soon as he leaves, the doctor picks up the scalpel on the ground and slashes the artery of his underling. After leaving Chinatown, Walker goes to the hospital and meets the remaining members of the Black Police. 5 their expressions show that things have become troubled. And then Vince proves it. They have investigated clearly that Charlie was the driver of the truck that night. Charlie is now also on the wanted list. I don't understand. What do you mean we all did bad things to Bill Mon, but Hisson hurt our people? We also have to pay a price. So what are you going to do about it? A Vincino answer. But his expression told Walker the answer afterwards. Walker saw C in a deep coma in the hospital room. Although he had passed the critical stage, the doctor still could not guarantee whether CT would wake up or not, and whether after waking up he would become a vegetable. Looking at his good brother lying in the hospital bed, Walker felt very heartbroken. Kayla told him that when CC had just been brought to the hospital, his mouth continuously mumbled, "The 5 of them are in trouble." Claw didn't understand what that meant, but Ware knew it was related to their hot goods robbery. But to comfort Claw, he took all the responsibility for himself. This matter had nothing to do with CCIT, was all my fault. My mistake that caused it all, and Bia to escape from this dangerous place. With Chuck Lay went to his foster father Ron, hoping that he could help her. And Chuck Lay each have a set of Ron passports to avoid being found. Told them to go hide in a secret place of his first. After preparing the passports, he would come to find them. But he didn't expect that the passports had just been made and hadn't even had time to bring them when Walker came to the door. It turned out that after leaving the hospital and returning to the police station, his partner informed him of the results of the latest investigation. It turned out that the girl who appeared with Charlie at the crime scene was the adopted daughter of Rown owns a scrapyard. This information is extremely important, so Walker came here to try his luck, and accidentally caught Rown trying to hide the passports he had just made, after confirming the information on the passport. Walker asked Mia where she was hiding, but Ron refused to tell Walker, was not an easy person to deal with, directly pointed a gun at Rown. She could not leave this city alive, without my help. After hearing these words, Ron chose to compromise and handed over the unlocked phone to Walker, and told him how to hand over the passports to Mia. Walker warned Ron, that he had never been here if anyone asked. Just say you didn't know him then, Wall. Kerr drove away from the scrapyard just as his son was about to be found. Bilmont got into trouble first because the Triad Shad set their sights on him right at a traffic jam on the road. Their car was surrounded by the Triads. Then Amon, with a gun, climbed onto the roof of their car bill. Mon was extremely frightened. The assistant was scared, opened the car door, and tried to run away. But what awaited her was a cold bullet. Bilmon thus became a prisoner of the Triads, and Clarice urged from her. Mouth knew the relationship between Mia and Charlie. Obviously, if Mia was found, capturing Charlie would not be difficult anymore. Just at that time, Curly Hair, a member of Mia's group, came to him, knowing what kind of organization the Triads were, to beg for a way to live. He was willing to lead them to find Mia. At this time, Mia had just received a message from Round asking her to meet at a bar called Medusa. But the one who was waiting for her was not Round, but Walker, seeing that Mia tried to run away, but Walker grabbed her tightly. He said to Mia that he didn't come to arrest her as long as she told him where Chuckley was, he would leave immediately. But Bia was very stubborn, completely ignored Wer's threat, and refused to tell the location of Lead. But at this moment, she noticed 3 figures entering the bar, but the ones Mia saw were 3 members of the group of 5 black police officers. Mia said that at that time, they were all wearing hockey masks, but one of them had been dropped by her. Vince stepped forward saying he wanted to talk to Mia, but Walker firmly refused, however. Just as the 2 sides were arguing, Walker noticed the Triad members in the crowd moving towards them. At this moment, Vince finally discovered the Triad's henchmen, who were about to use their police badges. Close to prevent was beaten by the opponent. With a stick dropped, Mia turned around and ran away. Walker also immediately attacked in a flash. The entire bar fell into a crazy melee, actually. The purpose of the Tam Huang people is very clear now. They don't know that the killer of Tu Fuang is the black police in front of them. This time came here just following the instructions of Curly Hair to capture Mia. Capturing Mia will be able to follow the trail to find Chai, and then avenge Tu Fuang. Originally thought that this would be an easy action, but unexpectedly encountered Walker and 3 other black police with extremely strong fighting power during the process. Were always protected Mia from getting hurt, and Mia also learned a few moves from her adoptive father, who was a veteran in times of danger. Even many times more fighting power. The fight in the bar took place extremely bloody and realistic, as if it were happening right before their eyes. When the fight continued, play cold weapon was no longer enough to suppress this group of reckless people. After knocking down a group of Triad members, Walker had fired first. Shot dead the henchman who was threatening Mia, then continuously shot at the remaining ones. Mia took the opportunity to climb up the iron frame to the first floor. Charlie and Ron also just arrived. Walker jumped down and grabbed Charlie. The purpose of finding Mia today was none other than him. But Chuck Lee did not cooperate, so Walker captured Mia to threaten. Charlie forced him to follow him at this time. The henchman also chased down Walker without hesitating to fire a series of bullets, then aimed the gun at the sarcasm. But the attack of the Triad that continued. Walker could only take both of them away first in this process. Ron was hit many times, seeing that Chuck Lee immediately pulled out his gun to shoot back, and one member of the Group 5, Black Police, after shooting dead. A few last Triad members was slashed by the opponent. The carotid artery Walker just brought both of them to the hallway, then encountered the police who just arrived. Walker just pulled out his police badge to show seeing the situation like that. He could only bring both of them back to B time for Mia to escape. Ron used both hands to hold the door tight as soon as Charlie pulled Mia away. Countless bullet shit. Ron, like a sieve, Walker took both of them out, just about to drive them away unexpectedly. The female close bodyguard of Clarice also chased, and started shooting wildly at their car. Walker backed up the car while raising his gun to return fire to disrupt the enemy formation. At this time, Vin and another personnel so rushed out Walker's group, had successfully escaped, and the curly-haired traitor was also conveniently dealt with by the female bodyguard, who was about to leave. At this time, a large number of police had rushed in, Vince and his teammates relied on their identity as police assassin. Again, escaped punishment Ellie also went with the team to the scene, but very quickly she received a call from Walker. Walker told her that Vince and the other two were also involved in today's incident, and that they had previously chased the truck just to steal the hot goods in the truck, and told Eli that they were the ones who had killed the Way. Eli was extremely surprised after hearing this. Walker told her to go to the hospital to protect CC. He felt that after this incident, there would definitely be someone who would come to cause trouble for Te received instructions. Eli immediately went to the hospital, but still a step too late because Thuk had arrived first. And through the conversation between him and Vince, Eli knew everything was planned by them, including chasing and stopping the truck and killing from the side. It turned out that after the previous leader of the Triads died, the power should have belonged to Thuk, who was his right-hand man, but Clarice forced her son into that position. Thuk was dissatisfied and felt that all his years of efforts were in vain, so he, along with Vince and his gang, planned all of this, with the aim of letting him sit in the leader's position and put all the blame on Chai. But unexpectedly, this plan became extremely disadvantageous because of Walker's appearance, so they came up with the idea of eliminating all those who knew about it, including CC, who was lying on the hospital bed. At this time, Eli had also arrived at the hospital, but when asking for the location of CCT's hospital, she noticed Thuk was in the hallway through the surveillance camera, heard the police alarm got up, but before she could react, she was surged to shoot like a sieve with numbness in the hospital room. She could not escape. The fate of being shot by a series of his bullets took her life, but when she turned back, Thuk runs into Claw, who was going to get water at this time. Eli rushed out from the hallway and saw Thuk had taken Claw, hostage both sides, immediately fell into a confrontation. This time Thuk had completely lost control, not afraid of Eli's gun in front of her, opened a gun and shot innocent K-Law to death. This completely angered Alicia, immediately stood up and chased after the two. Had a crazy gunfight in the narrow stairs. Bullets hit the handrails around. Sparks Eli had successfully controlled Thuk at. This time she heard the sound of police sirens. Police outside the door to avoid any mishap. Eli had stuffed him into her Carthan. She drove left the scene. Quickly after leaving, the bar Walker took both of them to the lakeside cabin that he left. Charlie got a bullet in the shoulder. Luckily, the wound wasn't too serious afterwards. Walker called Billmont, but he didn't know who picked up the phone. It was Claire. Walker said he had found his son. He also sent her an address telling him to come pick him up quickly. Billmont stood next to him, heard everything he said but didn't dare to speak. A bloodier war was about to begin, because he couldn't contact Walker. I had to go to his ex-wife and also saw his 6-year-old daughter after knowing Eli's intentions. His ex-wife told her the address where Walker could appear. Again, Carr gave phone to the uncle, told him to call to make an appointment. Vince and his gang came out and lied that they had found a buyer for the hot goods they were holding. So Vin and Jack immediately came to the meeting point from afar. They saw, urged to stand there, however, as soon as they advanced to prepare to make a deal. Ella suddenly raised the gun from the car and aimed, seeing that Jack had no choice but to obediently remove all the weapons on her body. She looked not like a police assassin in the dark. It was hard to recognize him as a policeman on the other side. Walker had just finished putting on his armor and equipping his weapons when he discovered a convoy of cars outside immediately. Then a group of people dressed in black, fully armed, approached them. Walker fell to the ground to avoid the bullets and threw the pistol to Mia. Mia picked up the gun and without hesitation resisted. Walker also immediately pulled the trigger, although the opponent continuously fired at them. Walker still seized the opportunity to take down a gun. Men approaching followed by a more frantic attack from the opponent. Charlie saw that and picked up the weapon. On the ground in this situation, only united, only have a glimmer of hope to survive. The other group of people continuously attacked the house fiercely, one after another, if afraid that the people inside were not enough for them to kill. This form of expression can bring good emotional value to the viewers, but in another aspect, it reduces the cultural value of the film. However, this is not a holy film, absurd at least after running out of bullets. You can clearly see the process of them picking up the weapons of the enemy. The second half of the film is all filmed in a bloody setting, extremely violent and suffocating, but the enemy is too numerous at the time. Walker is arguing. With his henchmen, Charlie and Mia were forced to drag out of the house. Walker regained consciousness and immediately joined the fight, but was attacked fiercely by the female bodyguard. Walker was momentarily beaten, unable to react. Walker was hit by a collapsed wooden hut on him. But as soon as the female bodyguard came forward to pull him out, a grenade launcher was aimed at her. The female bodyguard died like that, and Walker was exhausted, passed out. At this time, Clarice brought Bilmont to the scene, saw her son covered in blood. Bilmont was extremely heartbroken. Clarice took the gun from her junior and gave it to Bilmont. Her son had lost his life because of his son. So now, only if he killed his son with his own hands would things be fair. And Bilmont heard it and really gun raised. Charlie saw that and kept begging for his life, right when the tragedy was about to happen. Ellis suddenly escorted Vince and Thuok with a group of people appeared at the scene, exposing this bloody farce. They did not kill her son. She made the wrong person. Then Clary finally realized it was Thuok who killed her son. And Thuok, after hearing it, wanted to put all the blame on Vin and Jack. Traitor, you killed my son after I fell down. Jack picked up the pistol on the ground and aimed at Charlie. In the distance, seeing his son in danger, Billman had resolutely rushed forward. The bullets that should have been in Chuck Lai were all discharged into Billman's body. Billman fell down. Walker woke up and saw everything happened. He picked up the gun in front of him and fired a dense series of bullets at Jack. But missed. Eli also raised the SW and fired a shot at Jack. Vince took the opportunity to jerk, took a gun from Amon, and shot all the bullets at him. The scene once again fell into a big fight. This time it was a fight between the trustees of Thuk and the younger brothers of Clarice. The fight between both sides was extremely catastrophic. Even Walker was almost involved. Clarice did not have time to react and was shot by Thuk's bullet and died on the spot. The entire battlefield once again became more fierce. Because of her death, Thuk was shot seriously by Vince. Vince took away a hot bag of goods worth millions of dollars in front of him. He looked in the direction of Vin and ran away. Walker immediately stood up and chased after. The fight between I and Jack also came to an end. Right when he was about to defeat Jack, Eli discovered that his gun was out of bullets. When Jack saw this scene, he was about to counterattack when Chuck Lai shot him with his gun. He not only avenged his father, but also eliminated a major threat to the New York police force. Vince run away, then bring hot goods to the railway track. Prepare climb the train to escape here. But unexpectedly, Walker still follows closely behind Vince. Just climbed the train, was shot by Walker. A series. Bullets fell down. Saw Walker was about to approach. Vince immediately took up the gun to fight back, but in the end still died on the spot. Come here, the black police team of 5 people. Only left Walker. Eli, after telling Charlie and Miato leave here and never come back, turned to Walker, who was dying. Walker confessed to her all the bad things he had done and said that this time he no longer intended to run away. She was a good policeman. I should have treated her better. This was also the first time Eli heard Walker admit his words. The movie is not just a simple action movie, but through the attractive plot and fierce action scenes, it deeply depicts the dark side of society, as well as that tearing and human choices when faced with temptation and adversity. Each character in the film has their own motives and goals. They are intertwined in a world full of crime together, creating a suffocating struggle of will and life and death. The value of a film lies in its reputation, and the value of a film review lies in its feelings. Today's story ends here. Thank you for watching the film. What do you think of this film?